we are in a fantastic position from a market share standpoint and a market standpoint. Okay, so what we look at, we have our new model 48 TC and HCs. The TC 3 to 6 tons will fit on all those old curbs, 48 HJ, LJ, DJ, TJ, TM units dating back to 1989. It has the same electrical, same gas connection as the old carrier unit, which means from a replacement standpoint, we should be at the best position to replace our own product. It should take the least amount of time. We do not need a curb adapter. When you add a curb adapter on a rooftop unit, you add static to the system. You add uncertainty to verify to make sure that your airflow is going to get to the furthest duct run. You also increase the operating cost of that rooftop system when you add a curb adapter on it, because I'm adding static into the system, and static equals increase in brake horsepower equals the fact that I'm going to pay more in operating costs for that rooftop unit. The 48 TC, 7.5 to 12.5 tons, and the 48 HC, 6 to 10 tons, will fit on all units dating back to 19 again. Again, same thing, 48 HJ, LJ, DJ, TJ, and TMs. And the difference here is on our old chassis, the 15-ton plus chassis, we couldn't fit as much as the guts needed to meet the efficiency requirements. So what we needed to do was we needed to look at the person with the largest market next to us out there, 15 tons plus, and that was the train market. And what we did is we're going to fit the 15 to 25 ton carrier TC and HC product on the old Voyager curbs. Now you contact your salesman or your inside engineer to verify the fit on it. We got a list of old units and if we fit and how it lines up on the curb itself. Okay, but that's a tremendous opportunity for replacement out there. So new for 2012, what is the largest energy consumer in a package rooftop unit? And if you think about it, my one option, when I run cooling only so many months a year. When I run the heating, obviously I'm running the heating only so many months a year, but together I'm running that fan all the time. So the largest energy consumer in a package rooftop unit is the fan. It's about 60% of the total energy use in a year on a rooftop unit. So with that, again, because ASHRAE 90.1 tells us we have to, and in states that have mandated, it was effective January 1st of this year, on anything 110,000 BTUs and larger, we need 2-speed fan or a variable frequency drive for fan control. So we have to do the following. We at the cooling demand less than or equal to 50%, the supply fan control will have to have the capability of reducing the airflow. So what we're doing is we're reducing the airflow by 2/3 of full fan speed, and that's what we're going to be doing on this one. So, and we're going to be doing this with a variable frequency drive, and we're going to be doing something called staged air volume control, also known maybe as single zone VAV. So again, stage air volume control. You're familiar with VAV, you're familiar with constant air volume. You're going to be hearing something new called staged air volume. So what we do is it's going to save significant energy because the majority of the operating hours of these rooftop units are at first stage. So since it's at first stage, I'm now reducing my brake horsepower at that condition. Again, I got application flexibility. It's going to be factory installed option. It's got soft start capabilities, and also because of the fact that I'm now running first stage cooling at a lower fan speed, I'm now going to be doing better dehumidification with the rooftop unit itself. So it's a fantastic option. It's available on all of our 48 TC HC models up to 27.5 tons. Actually, in all our A series and P series up to 100 tons units, and our split systems up to 30 tons. So let's look at a little bit of an energy savings standpoint when they did a comparison from the utility comparison of a single speed indoor fan motor system versus the carrier staged air volume system and what we found in the different markets. And for some apparent reason, the study wasn't done in Chicago or Milwaukee or South Bend, but in this case, here's the St. Louis probably is the closest market to us. But you see here, Miami 40% energy savings, Los Angeles 60%, Phoenix 40%, St. Louis 40 to 50% energy savings over a traditional single fan speed unit. So it's again, you add better dehumidification, and this is going to be a factory installed option on our rooftop units. And the best part about this, it's going to be simple. And when I say it's simple, it's because you're going to be able to use a standard thermostat to operate these units 7.5 tons plus. Okay, I could use a standard single stage and two stage thermostat. And when I do that, when I go to first stage, call for first stage cooling, the unit will back down to 2/3 of the total airflow. When I go to second stage, it'll go to all the way to nominal airflow again. Okay, so that's when I talk about simple. We can also go complex. We could build it into a building automation system. We could do factory installed DDC controls on the rooftop units also if you want that. But we can keep it simple from a replacement market standpoint. It's very nice, and it'll fit on all those old curves. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the 48 LC unit. Okay, this is the Carrier's most efficient rooftop ever, 17.5 SEER. Okay, so 3 to 5 ton units. It'll fit on all of those 3 and 5 ton units, the TJTM units. So if you have a replacement opportunity, then you want to sell them an ultra high efficiency rooftop. Now you can get the 48 LC unit to fit exactly on those units. Okay, so from a comfort standpoint, again, this is 3 and 5 ton. We're talking about a market when we've typically had single stage cooling. Now we have a multi-stage scroll compressor, multi-speed fan, either a direct ECM motor or a belt drive with a VFD. In our market, we're going to be probably going mostly with belt drive VFD because I don't want to deal with a direct drive motor and run out of static on a job. That is an issue. So I want to go belt drive with a VFD. Integrated economizer with the new economizer, the Jade economizer we talked about earlier, and the standard features we're going to have. We're going to have a foil face insulation lining, so there's no insulation in the airstream, cooling operation up to 125 degrees, non-corrosive slope drain pan, and again, like I mentioned before, it is a single zone staged air volume unit. Okay, so here's a cutaway of the unit showing you where we're at. So point 1 is the electromechanical controls or the ComfortLink integrated controls. Okay, if I go ComfortLink, we get the traditional scrolling marquee like a lot of the service guys are used to. We have the reverse rotation protection, service diagnostics and alarms, and alarm run history. Point 2 is our high efficiency direct drive ECM or belt drive variable frequency drive motor. In our market, again, we'll probably be going more belt drive variable frequency drives. Point 3 is going to be the integrated gas controller. Okay. Point 4, high efficiency round tube plate fin coils is what we're going to be having. 5, induced draft combustion system with either a stainless steel or an aluminum heat exchanger as an option. And then 6, we've kind of standardized on this large access panels on all components with no strip screw technology, which we'll talk about also. Hinge panels will be available if you want them. So we're going to have TXV standard on every unit, high efficiency ECM outdoor fan motors for overall performance on the condenser side of things. Okay, standard either vertical or horizontal discharge, 2-stage scrolls on the 2-stage scroll for the compression, all the safeties built in, and high capacity solid core filter dryers for added refrigerant system protection. So we're going to talk a little bit about the series, the standard options. Okay, the nice piece now is we used to have 15 tons plus. We used to say we needed a 5-year compressor warranty as an option. Now every one of our products up to 25 tons has a 5-year compressor warranty standard. High-low pressure switches, standard. You don't have to ask for it. It all comes standard. It seems common sense. Back in the mid-90s, we went away from that because we were trying to get to a certain price point, I believe. We found there's more issues than it was, you basically incorporated more issues into it than the benefit of getting more jobs. So we added it in as a standard option when we introduced our TM unit later on in late 1990s. We went no strip screw technology, which I'll talk to you in a second, non-corrosive condensate drain pan, easy access handles, large centralized control box, high efficiency belt drive motors, and a 75 VA transformer with a circuit board. So one of the key things here, At 15 tons, we used to be in a spot in our product line where our chassis would go up to 12.5 tons, and then we'd start our 15-ton to 25-ton chassis in our 15-ton piece. Well, that, if you're based, when we talk about putting stuff into a box, that lowage tonnage point is going to be typically your worst dollar per ton point. Okay, so we have now two 15-ton models. One is going to be our 1.6 model. Our 1.6 model is basically taking that 3 to 12.5 ton chassis. In the 12.5 ton unit, we stretched out the chassis a little bit. So we're getting 15 tons out of it. We are actually less weight, we're less length, width, and we're a little bit higher. You can do horizontal or vertical discharge, but it is now at a fantastic price point in the industry for new retrofit jobs. And then we also have the 1.7 model, which is, again, it's a 15-ton unit also. But the key to this one is it'll fit, you could use either one, but the 15-ton model will fit YCD 180 curbs from Train, old Voyager curbs from Train. That's what that 1.7 model is really going to be used for in a lot of applications, is for replacement of old Train units. But you could just also use the unit because it's a slightly different cabinet also. Some people like that model, some people like the 1.6 model. You have two options at 15 tons now. The other added piece, which I think is a great part, is we have a lot of old 48DD 034 units out in the marketplace set up for replacement right now. And we now have the new TC30 model, which is basically 27 tons of rooftop capacity. And that may say, well, you're not quite 30 tons. Well, most 30-ton rooftop units are not actually 30 tons. They're slightly under it. Our 30-ton unit, at 48A series unit, is slightly under it. A lot of manufacturers out there say their unit's a nominal 30, but it's really around a 27.5 to 28-ton unit. So it's a 27.5-ton unit. And the key thing here, it's a unit fits, the current model is 28. Now we make it up to 30 tons. At 30 tons, we're 1,040 pounds lighter than Train. We're 2,250 pounds lighter than York. And we're 380 pounds lighter than Lennox. So if you look at replacement of those old constant volume 48 DD 034 units, this TC30 model is a fantastic opportunity for replacement in the market. We spoke earlier about a no-strip screw technology out there. When Carrier came up with this new TC product line, we actually had a group of contractors who basically flew back and forth to the factory a bunch of different times when they were coming up with the design of this rooftop, to fit on the old curb. But they wanted to get the feedback from the contractors out there. And one of the feedbacks was the fact that the screws fell off the unit and then were on the roof. So what they came up with is they have this no-strip screw collar. So you're going to always have positive panel retention, multiple use without stripping, self-centering, and no screws vibrating loose and falling on the roof. We also have our central terminal board is easier to look at. So our units today are more easily serviced today than they even were about 5 to 6 years ago when we were talking about our old 48TM model. So let's go to our 15 to 25 ton units. Okay, our standard features here, we're going to have extended bearing lube lines for simple service. You're going to be able to do a dedicated vertical unit, and you're going to be able to do a dedicated horizontal unit. If you remember back, our old 15-ton unit, we had to have a horizontal discharge curb underneath it to do horizontal discharge. Now we can do horizontal discharge right out of the standard box. Slide out filter racks, fan belt brake protection, and again, fits on old Train Voyager curbs, and it comes with a 5-year compressor warranty. This kind of goes back and brings back memories of everybody who used to recall this. For a long time, 15 to 25 tons, we had that horizontal discharge curb on the bottom, and basically with that horizontal discharge curb, so we air in on the top, out on the bottom. And we have some units out there that are like that. We can actually do that still with the same model if you wanted to do that, okay, with a horizontal and with a top-bottom arrangement. But we feel the best way to attack it is to the side-by-side market. So now we have a supply and return side-by-side out of the unit chassis. The side discharge market is about approximately 25% of the market for rooftops. So we gained a lot of share by having this this now as a standard option, and we stock it this way also. We stock horizontal discharge units also now in our warehouse. And just so you know, we stock typically all 48TC models in our warehouse for replacement requirements. Factory installed options, temperature, enthalpy controlled economizers. I'm going to fly through these. It's pretty simple stuff. CO2, multi-protocol control if you're integrating into a DDC system. Convenience outlets, powered or non-powered, stainless steel heat exchangers, smoke detectors, return air, supply air, or both. Hail guards you can now get factory installed, non-fused disconnects, centrifugal power exhaust, 15 to 25 tons. I'm going to talk a little bit about humidizer here in a second and then through the base. Warranties, all compressors up to 27.5 tons have 5-year compressor warranty standard. Heat exchangers, 10-year. Stainless steel 15, electric heat 5, non-condenser coil heat Novation heat exchangers 3, and other parts 1. So we're going to talk a little bit about humidizer. Humidizer is what I find on the 3 to 25 ton rooftop market is the most underutilized piece that we have. I'm not sure why it is, but I think it's the most underutilized rooftop accessory FIAP, factory installed option, we offer. The number one complaint that you're ever going to hear on a packaged rooftop unit is probably a humidity issue, where the unit was oversized and you have multiple recycling and you have a humidity issue in the space. So what we have with humidizer, and we're going to go through this in detail here, is we have 3 modes of operation. We have one is a normal mode. The thermostat is calling for cooling and the humidity is satisfied. This is what we would call our design day outside, ambient temperatures 85 and above, 80 and above, where we're running the compressors, the condenser, the evaporator coil is always wet, we're properly dehumidifying the space, and there's no humidity call because we're doing the humidity control through standard, through the standard cooling process. Then we have the sub-cooling mode, and this is the carrier exclusive. This is what nobody else in the marketplace has. This is when the thermostat is calling for cooling and the humidity control is also calling the humidity control is also required. So I have a thermostat requirement and I have a dehumidification stat requirement. So what we do here is we now, and I'll go through the refrigeration process here, it improves the latent capacity by up to 40%. Now we do this on every rooftop 3 through 100 tons. We can do this humidizer option. So it's standard on our product line up to the top. Then we have a hot gas reheat mode when there's no longer a call for cooling, but my humidity is out of set point and needs to be addressed. That's where we're going to provide neutral air out of the rooftop unit, 72 to 75 degree air when there's a dehumidification call, and we're not going to overcool the space. So we operate in these 3 modes, and this happens on each circuit. So if I have a 7.5 ton unit, we have this capability on both the first circuit and the second circuit of the rooftop unit, which is key. So let's go into the specifics here of the humidizer itself. So we're going to have this condenser bypass, and then we're going to have a sub-cooling coil. Okay, and we have a sub-solenoid valve and a 2 solenoid valves. Okay, so let's go through the process here. So this is our normal mode. This is on a design day, and the yellow line basically dictates the refrigerant flow. So we have the compressor, the refrigerant is flowing through the condenser, through the fixed orifice, through the evaporator. This is normal situation. I have a thermostat calling for cooling, but my humidity is satisfied in the space. You know what? I'm going to address some of the questions here at the end here, and I will. I saw a couple of questions come up. I'm going to address some of the questions at the end here. So, so this is the process, standard mode process. Second option is the sub-cooling mode, and I don't know why this slide did not come up real well, but just follow the refrigerant line, and I'll show you what happens here. So this is where I have a call for cooling, and my humidity is out of set point, okay, and it needs to be addressed. So this is closed, this is closed, refrigerant flows through the condenser, goes through the subcooler. So in the evaporator, we're subcooling it, and then we're reheating it to approximately around, somewhere around 60 degrees. So we're going to gain about up to 40% latent capacity with this option. And again, it could be done on both circuits. Hot gas reheat mode. I could do up to 100% latent capacity on the rooftop unit. So now I have this solenoid valve, the hot gas solenoid is open. The liquid line solenoid is closed. We're forcing refrigerant to bypass the condenser through the subcooler, and we're now providing neutral dehumidified air to the space. Okay, so we're always going to be maintaining humidity control in the situation. If the number one complaint on a rooftop unit is humidity control, I'm not sure why we don't sell more of these rooftop units in this marketplace. Now, what do we do different than competitors? Our competitors typically offer two modes. They offer standard mode, and they offer this hot gas reheat mode. You're obviously addressing one or you're addressing the other. I'm addressing the thermostat, and then once I know my humidity is at a set point, then I'm no longer maintaining thermostatic control. I'm now retaining humidity control. And you don't have that middle mode, that subcooling mode, where I'm gaining that 40% extra latent capacity. And also, our subcooling coil, that hot gas, that coil back here, the subcooler coil, is the same size as the evaporator coil. Other competitors, it's half the size. Some competitors, like the Train company, it's sitting right in front of the fan motor in the belt. So when the belt breaks, it actually hits the subcooling coil. So every time a belt breaks on a rooftop unit, you could lose your subcooling coil. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about our competitors. We do dehumidification control far more superior than everybody else in the marketplace and what they're doing. So that's key. So let's look at the summary here real quick. Again, three modes. Normal mode on each circuit, normal mode. Subcooling mode, that's where I have both a temperature call and a humidity call, dehumidification call. I have a hot gas reheat mode where I have dehumidification and neutral air requirements. Okay, so we have an application-based piece here you could read. It's on a catalog 514. If you have any questions, you could send me an email. I'll give you guys my email address at the end if you want to see the application piece on it. But I think the marketplace should address this humidizer because you will not receive a callback for a humidity issue. So let's look at the replacement market right now. If a unit that's 7.5 tons and you're replacing it with a new 7.5 ton unit, and you had humidity issues on the old 7.5 ton unit. So what are we going to do? Do we just put a new 7.5 ton rooftop unit in its place? No, I would put a new 7.5 ton rooftop with humidizer that fits on the same curb and has the same gas and electrical connections as the old unit. So simple change out. All you have to do is add a thermostat to the space, a temperature humidity thermostat, and then now you could have proper humidity control. And all the controls are built into the system itself. Next we're going to talk about here is we're going to talk about the energy recovery piece, which we've been doing for quite a while, and we're finding this marketplace just keeps on growing every year, whether it be a standalone energy recovery unit that we sell of micrometals or it's the factory installed unit that we sell on our 48HC units. So this gives you a quick diagram of what happens on an energy recovery unit. So we have our outside air, and then we have our exhaust air. So as the air comes in from the return, we basically exhaust some air here, we bring in the air, and then this wheel here will exchange the energy, and it'll exchange about 60 to 70% of the energy that we're bringing in from either cooling mode or heating mode into the space. And then we're going to temper the air. We're going to basically give a better mixed air, number versus if we bring a high percentage of outside air. So we're going to have that mixed air, then hit the evaporator coil, and then do the cooling or the heating for that requirement. Now, the key piece to energy recovery here is that think of it as an extra stage of cooling or heating that we have, and then we're adding. So if I have a 3-ton unit and I have an energy recovery piece, I now have basically 3 stages of cooling. I have compressor 1, I have wheel, and I have economizer. Okay. When I have the heating mode, I can have, depends on which model unit on the smaller tonnage pieces, but on our high efficiency unit, small tonnage units have 2 stages of heat. So now I have 2 stages of heat, wheel, because the wheel is basically a stage of heat, and then so now I have 3 stages there. So that energy recovery piece gives me more control for dehumidification standpoint also. So now I'm able to dehumidify the air better when I'm now requiring higher percentage of outside air going into the space. So where do we offer this on? We offer this 3 to 25 ton units on our 48 and 50 HC models. Combined efficiency factor is 18 plus. I've seen even higher. And it's an enthalpy wheel. It's a total enthalpy wheel that we're going to be using factory mounted. And ComfortLink controls are standard on the unit itself. So when it comes to the field, it has a single point power connection. It's ETL certified, single curb. Okay, we can vary the fan speed, the exhaust and the outside air fan speed. We can do demand control ventilation where we're controlling that motor, because what we're doing with this factory installed option is we have ECM motors on both the supply and the exhaust fan, and they can vary based on demand control ventilation, your CO2 in the space. True bypass when you have going to economizer, so I'm bypassing the wheel. And then we could do outside air and exhaust air flow measuring also. And we're integrating that into our ComfortLink controls on the rooftop unit standard. So a couple of rule of thumbs on ERVs, and this is pretty much true for most ERVs that we sell, the carrier or the micrometal wheels. On a cooling mode, you're going to recover approximately 2.4 tons of cooling for every 1,000 CFM of outside air recovered. In the heating mode, we will recover 80,000 BTUs of heating for every 1,000 CFM of outside air required. The heating season is the biggest payback for the Chicago and the Milwaukee and the South Bend market, and we get about 2 to 3 year payback on the rooftop unit itself with this ERV option from what we see when we have the higher percentage of outside air going into, from outside air requirements. We're going to talk a little bit about condensing units briefly. So our condensing units and our fan coils, familiar with what's been out there typically, it's a 40RU. This replaces the 40RM. This is the 410A model and the 38AU, AUZ, and AUD. Okay, and they're matched with the 40RU units. The key piece is they're matched to meet the ASHRAE efficiency standards. Okay, so when you look here at the product line, we now have a dual circuited unit from 10 tons to 20 tons on the AUD. Okay, we can do 8 tandem circuits, which means it's a single circuit with tandem compressors, 12.5 to 20 tons in a single circuit, and then we have single circuits up to 12.5 tons. Okay, all matched with our 40RU product. We now have standard with the condensing units on 38 AUs. We have Comfort Alert diagnostic control. So one of the things that I didn't realize this, but when Carrier comes out with a new product and they redesign an old product, they have to exceed the existing platform's requirements. And from a failure rate standpoint and efficiency standpoint, that's like a company protocol. I was unaware of that. And one of the things that they did from a reliability standpoint, because the old condensing units were extremely reliable, was they added this Comfort Alert standard to it. So what it does is it gives you system pressure trips, short cycling, lock rotor, open circuit, reverse phase, welded contactors, and low voltage alerts on the condensing unit on the condensing units. 40RUs, if you're familiar with the old 40RM product line, again, it's a static belt drive motor, horizontal or vertical unit. You can get it painted, you can get it unpainted. Typically is unpainted is what we get. And then we have field installed electric heaters, economizers, condensate overflows, return air grills, hot water coils, steam coils, and then floor mounting base and suspension brackets. Talk a little bit about controls. One of the things that we've done locally here with TEC is we've expanded our controls offering at TEC. Now we have a large support group which is basically we have Matt Owen in the Chicago market along with Sal Stangaroni, and then in the Milwaukee market we have now Dan Olivier and Fred Arnold. Okay, now with that, we now have better support of all the contractor and engineer control calls in this for the market. So it's a real strong point. We have 4 really proven folks. So when you call in, you're always going to get an answer, and hopefully you won't get delays when we talk about controls. So when we talk about controls, we could either do electromechanical, and we could also do DDC. Okay, our DDC controls is where we either use Premier Link, which is a carrier control on the small rooftop units. We can go to Comfort Link, and then we have what we call RTU Open, which is an open protocol system for rooftop units. So with that, we have, here's a kind of a snapshot of it. So we have RTU Open. It could be field installed, along with Premier Link could be field installed, or it can be factory installed on both. And you can get both of them on the 48HC and TC product line right now. Okay, Premier Link would typically be used with the Carrier CCN product. Rooftop Open would be used with our new Carrier Open product or going into an existing system. And then also we have a Comfort Link controller, which is on the 48HCs with the energy recovery piece to it. Support tools. So training, programs, software, selection tools. We're not going to talk a little bit of financing. So we have going on May 15th and 16th what we call our rooftop replacement experts. Okay, and with that, this is ideal for a service contractor that does replacements. Okay, and a service outfit. And what we're going to do is myself and Ryan Hoger, we're going to teach a class in Melrose Park on the 15th, and on the 16th we're going to be in South Bend. And you're going to learn basically about the sales process, how to develop commercial leads, repair replace strategies, finance options, building analysis, where we're going to do load, and then leveraging carrier replacement strategies and how to basically give you a nice professional proposal using our Invest software for replacement requirements. Here's the snapshot. Again, it's May 15th and 16th. Possible CEUs, laptop requirements, go to Carrier, go to tecmungo.com/training to register if you're interested in registering to this class. But it's a really nice opportunity for the replacement rooftop market. One of the other things that we have for tools is we have this slide chart. This is mostly for what I would say for the service contractors out there. And again, this is a replacement market, and since this is a replacement market, we have some really cool tools. And this piece here was actually invented by our Dave Yano here in the Chicago and TEC here. Dave invented the slide ruler for Carrier. Okay, he came up with the idea. And what this does is it basically gives you one slide rule where you could kind of, on this page here, it can tell you the tonnage, the efficiency, the minimum circuit amps at each voltage, snapshot on this page. And on the next page, what it does is it looks at, again, at the next page, what it does is it looks like the curb adapters. So we've teamed up with Micrometal on this, and this is, we have all the Carrier units with the adapter curb. You look at the old unit on the roof, you slide it over to the slide bar, it tells you down on the bottom what the dimensions of the old unit are, and at that point you know if that is the correct curb or not. And what this does is it saves everybody the time of running out to a job site twice. Okay, what does it cost to run out to a job site twice to verify and measure curb adapters? You got to pay someone to do it, and the cost of labor isn't going down. And if you can have this added benefit of having your service guys out there in the field with this replacement piece, they could verify the curb adapter on site. And we have not only Carrier, we have Lennox, we have Trane, and we have York, and these are all typical stock models that we stock in our warehouse, whether or not it fits on that curb. So it's a fantastic offering of what we have. We also stock a ton of curb adapters, so even different curbs here. I think it was 200 curb adapters we have in stock in our local warehouse. One of the things that's going to be coming is what we have, an app which is going to be on the iPad, and it's going to become, what I was told, mid-2012, and it's going to take this same rooftop replacement piece, and it's now going to be under carrier rooftops, and you're going to use that now app on your iPad. So that's going to be something that's going to be coming up here soon on it. Talk about Rooftop Invest, what it is. It's basically a tool of what we use for replacement and allowing you to provide a nice option to provide with your proposal when you're giving a quote. Okay, so it's easy, it's very fast, it's very simple to use, and it's free. Okay, so what you're doing here is you're inputting some brief information on the unit, and then on this top piece right here, you're entering the age of the old unit. You could put new or old, and then we have the EER of the rooftop unit. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. I had something stuck in. I had to get a drink here. So, okay. So now what we have is we have the age of the rooftops. We have the tonnage. We could input the EER, the heating, whether or not the economizer is working or it's not working. And based on that old information we have, we know that most economizers are not properly working. Okay. Then you input the new data on the new unit. Whether or not you have an economizer, you could put your installed cost, your utility rebates, and then here it computes an energy savings. You fill out the remainder of the tabs, and from there you get a nice payback analysis that you could present to your customer, the end user, that says, here's my rooftop, this is what I want to use, this is my brief analysis that shows that this unit has approximately around a 2-year payback if you replace this. So you can get it from your salesman, you can get it from the inside engineering group, you can get it from our inside sales group, wherever you want to get it, or if you want to contact me directly, my cell is 847-630-7867, or email. I think Ryan is the administrator on this webinar. You can get it from him also. You can get into the rooftop selection program. I prefer, our office does the rooftop selections, but if you really want to do your own rooftop selections, you could download that software tool from commercial.carrier.com and go to software if you want to. But I would recommend contacting your salesperson or your inside person or your inside engineer to do that. So what we're going to take away here from this is it's a replacement market. There's been a lot of energy updates and upgrades where, whether it be the new 2-stage fan, which could be coming as early as June. That means that everything that we're going to be stocking 10 tons plus will need a VFD standard, but it can operate with a standard thermostat. We have what we feel is the absolute best product mix we've ever had. We're gaining in the marketplace, and we're also gaining share. We have some fantastic support material. If you're interested in financing, let me know. We have the carrier, what we call rooftop replacement experts program that we're going to be doing the 15th and 16th of this month. If you're interested, sign up for it. I think it's going to be a great class that you're going to see. And then if you have any questions on any of the stuff we went over today, whether it be the 2-stage fan, the humidizer, the energy recovery, we can do something in place with your sales, with your current with the office you're at, or individually one-on-one. Just contact myself. Again, my name is Mike Smid, TEC. My number is 847-630-7867. And you could also reach me at mike.smid, S-M-I-D, at tecmungo.com, or you could send an email to the administrator, which is Ryan Hoger. So that is it. And then I think we have some questions here, which I'm going to address here. So let me go through the questions here. Okay. what are the options for relief exhaust on the economizer mode? So the options for relief are the following. We could either do barometric relief, where we can exhaust 100% of the outside air through the barometric relief. So that's what we can do with the Carrier design. So that's a nice option. The second option is to do power exhaust. You have a couple of modes of power exhaust. One is going to be simply when my economizer reaches a certain point, my power exhaust is going to click on. It's going to be an on-off power exhaust. Okay. Now, with on-off power exhaust, that's what everybody does in the marketplace. You are going to meet the Chicago code for power exhaust. The next step above that would be centrifugal power exhaust, where I can exhaust a high percentage of outside air if I have some static. So I could do a centrifugal exhaust, and then the next option above that would be centrifugal exhaust with a variable frequency drive, which is controlled based on building static. So that is the absolute best. It costs a lot, so if someone wants that option, it's an expensive option. They have to know they're going to pay for it if they're going to get it. But if I have a true application where I have to maintain a certain building pressure, that would be the way to go. That would be the only way I would recommend doing proper building control with a rooftop unit and with a power exhaust system on a package rooftop, is to have a variable frequency drive controlling that exhaust fan. So I hope that answers your question on exhaust. Does Carrier have seismic wind load ratings for their current product line? And the answer to that is yes. Okay, we have the most complete seismic product line in the industry when it comes to the commercial product line. We are seismically rated. In the Chicago market, which the market I'm most familiar with, we don't typically have seismic requirements, but I see it as a growing trend, and the Carrier product line, I just discuss it with whatever particular job you're talking about, and we have the most seismically complete commercial product line in the industry right now. I'm going to wait a couple minutes and see if anybody else has any further questions. And if you do have questions after it, you can always email me. Again, my email address is mike.smid, S-M-I-D as in David, at tecmungo.com. Okay? So it looks like that is it. I don't have any further questions. And if I hold on a second. Okay, someone said, can you review the no-strip screw technology? Let me go back and briefly go back to that. Hold on a second. Okay, so we got a no-strip screw technology question. So if you look here in the lower left-hand corner, this is what we would call a no-strip screw technology. So what we have is we have this collar, okay, and what it does is it allows you to basically screw in the panels without the screw eventually digging a hole in the metal and eventually falling out. So what it allows for is make sure we have positive retention, and we can use this over and over again without getting that hole wider and wider and eventually falling out. And it's self-centering, and we have it where the no screws vibrate loose or fall on the roof. So that is that. So okay, what is the catalog number for slide charts? Catalog number for slide charts. Why don't you let whoever you have for your representative know how many you require, or contact me and then let me know. Okay, and we will take care of that. I think that is it. I'm going to allow one more second for the questions to come in if there are any questions. I think that's it. So I'm going to be signing off now. Again, you can contact me anytime if you have any questions. Thank you very much.